This is the MeidasTouch Podcast. We've got a lot to discuss because things are going down when Susan Collins of Maine is deeply concerned. Senator Collins is very worried that the Trump regime fired the CDC director, and then essentially all senior management of the CDC did a mass resignation, and now there is a walkout taking place at the CDC headquarters. Also, Donald Trump has put on administrative leave basically most of FEMA, as they wrote an open letter about how dangerous things are there, how there could be an event worse than Hurricane Katrina coming soon based on the lack of leadership in FEMA. She's deeply concerned. She's not doing town halls, but when she showed up for a ribbon cutting ceremony, the people are letting her know what they think about her. Play this clip. Around the country, we're seeing Democrats overperform the 2024 results in many cases by as much as 15 to 20 points. The most recent example in Iowa, Senate District 1, Caitlin Dray, Moms for Iowa was the organization she created. She was an activist. She is an activist, 37 years old, not someone from a political background, just wanted to make a difference. She annihilated the MAGA Republican Trump stooge candidate and flipped that seat. They've changed the dynamic in the Iowa Senate, defeating the supermajority Republicans had there. And don't forget, back in January, you had a Democratic candidate, Zimmer, won his Senate seat, overperformed by 22 points. We've been covering this across the country, whether it was Lancaster and Pennsylvania, some areas in upstate New York as well, whether it was in Omaha, you name it. These results have been happening. The media reports it as stunning, shocker. But if you've been following what's taking place right now, it is super obvious, the sentiment. And I'll tease this out at the outset. Next week, I'm going to be doing an interview with some of the leaders of all of the major grassroots organizations, and we are going to collectively be announcing a protest, a peaceful protest that will be bigger than the No Kings protest. We've heard you loud and clear. We're going to be doing one bigger than No Kings. Let's bring in Brett and Jordy. How about that for an intro, huh?
That's definitely quite the intro, Ben. But, I got to hit you with the fact check up front. Susan Collins, she wasn't just concerned. She was extremely alarmed. That's it. When Susan Collins is extremely alarmed, that's when you know that things are getting crazy. Let me refer you here, brothers and Midas Mighty, to the Susan Collins scale of concern. You can see that it goes right here from not concerned to mildly concerned to moderately concerned to severely concerned to troubled to disappointed. And I think that extremely alarmed maybe even after that. These people are such jokes, you guys. And this is Susan Collins is the perfect representation of the Republican Party and how it was able to get co-opted by a con man, by a scam artist like Donald Trump. These people are weak. These people thought they could ride the tiger. They told themselves that nothing would happen, and now they're on the other side of it. You're seeing what's happening at the CDC. We'll get into that shortly. But they tell themselves all these lies. It's not going to be so bad. It's just going to be normal. We'll be able to control them. We'll be able to rein them in. And then they get eaten by the tiger every single time. And then they go, oh, I'm worried. I'm concerned. And then they don't do a damn thing. I'm sick of these people getting away with it. We'll break it down. And we're seeing these revolts right now from within the United States government, from within the federal government against the Trump regime, whether it's FEMA, whether it's at the CDC. We are showing this active dissent as Donald Trump and this regime and the Republican Party actively do things that are going to kill the American people. We're going to break it all down. First, we got to check in with Jordy. Jordy, how's it going?
What's up, y'all? Super excited for today's show. I say let's just get into it. Benji, where do you want to start off?
MAGA Republican Congress member Burkeen, I guess he was at least brave enough to do a town hall where most MAGA Republicans are not doing any town halls. But his constituents, in a very matter-of-fact way, had some questions for him. Like, Donald Trump says he's reduced prescription drug prices by 1,400%. How does that work? Wouldn't that mean that the drug companies would be paying us money if we purchase drugs? And we're not seeing that. We're also not seeing things get cheaper. Things are getting more expensive based on Donald Trump's disastrous trade war against the entire world. So can you help us understand what you're doing, MAGA Republican Congress members, to bring down costs? To which the MAGA Republican Congress members say, oh, that's not something we do at the federal level. That's something that the states deal with. Not our fault at all. You need to reread the Constitution, the MAGA Republican Congress members say. Here, play this clip. Go ahead.
Well, no, I had a couple of related questions. One is I've heard President Trump say more than once that he has lowered drug prices by 1,500%. I'm not sure how that works. And the other is, can you tell me what specific bills we've passed or worked on that would lower grocery prices?
Yeah. Well, ma'am, you're talking about things relative to state level. And so you're mixing federal and state in terms of if you look at what the 18 enumerated powers say, the 18 enumerated powers that every member of Congress holds up their hand and swears an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution. And most people who run for Congress don't know those 18 enumerated powers. And they don't know the 10th Amendment that says the power is not delegated to the United States.
Okay, well, that goes on and on and on. He goes, you don't know what you're talking about. Well, there's also something called the Commerce Clause that regulates interstate commerce. The Congress is the one that's supposed to be in charge of the tariffs. And I find it uniquely ironic, we'll just say, that everything that happened with the economy while former President Biden was trying to put out the fire created by the arsonist Donald Trump during his first administration was blamed on former President Biden. But now, as Donald Trump is making everything worse, oh, that's a states' rights issue? And what he's throwing his own state governor, Republican, under the bus as well. I mean, I'm trying to understand that, Brett. But here's the thing. That constituent hit on an important point, which is it's lie after lie, a deluge of lie. You know how Donald Trump likes to lie and say that he turned on a magical faucet in California, and that's what put out the wildfires back in January, when in reality, after the fires were 100% contained, he sent in the Army Corps of Engineers to Northern California to empty reservoirs onto farmland. A lot of those farmers were actually the small amount of people in California that are actually MAGA and were Trump supporters there, which is not connected to Southern California because California's a pretty big state. And while the fires were 100% contained, as Trump dumps reservoir water where it doesn't belong, he goes, I alone fix the wildfires. Like, that's some extra level of crazy right there. But I'll tell you what's also extra level of crazy, that this regime is going around on a day-to-day basis, and they're saying that they've already brought in from foreign countries, based on, I guess, gifts, I don't know, tribute and tariffs, $10 trillion has already hit our treasury, they say. 10 trillion, everybody. Here, play this clip.
As a result, President Trump has already brought in nearly $10 trillion in new private and foreign investments so that the top businesses in the world can create high-paying jobs in America and hire American workers to fill them.
Like, it's not just a lie. It's not just a fib, okay? It's not just even like a medium-sized lie. $10 trillion? By the way, if he brought in $10 trillion from foreign countries, wouldn't that be amazing? That would actually be great. I would applaud it. I wouldn't do a video that says Donald Trump has a disastrous morning because of, I would say, the pretty great freaking morning. $10 trillion? Wow. We're going to get rid of all of our debt. Maybe we can actually use that money to lower prescription drug prices and to get people free education and to get free health care for people and build great things around the country and modernize our infrastructure. 10 extra trillion dollars that we weren't expecting Donald Trump was able to get. But it's just a made up number. Sometimes he goes with 17 trillion. Sometimes he goes with 10 trillion. He goes to these countries, and it's only a handful of them, does these fake deals that are never memorialized in writing. Like, just ask yourself that question. Have you ever heard of like a deal that is of anything of importance that is not in writing? You know, there's a funny example in the law. And you may have heard people in your family or friends who studied for the bar exam who would always be worried about there's something called the statute of frauds, which is basically a law that says in various states, and every state has their own version of a statute of frauds, there are some agreements that are so important they need to be reduced to writing. Otherwise, one can imply that there's a fraud taking place. And so there are like mortgage agreements, employment agreements that last more than a year. You wouldn't want that to be an oral understanding. Anyway, I'm not sure why I'm giving you a bar exam tutorial right here. Suffice to say that there is no written agreement on major deals with countries, so we don't get to see it. And then the countries say, that wasn't the deal. I mean, how predictable is it? That's what they're going to say. Like, that's not the deal. And then Trump goes around and says things like, well, actually, Japan's giving us a signing bonus. Japan's given us a signing bonus of what's that, $550 billion just because they like me. And we're going to get 90% of the profits. They only get 10% of the profits, even though their entire GDP is like $4 trillion. That's how it's going down. And then Japan says, no, what are you talking? You're just making that up. Like, that's not a real thing. We're not giving you that money. We never agreed to that. And by the way, this week, Japan canceled its meeting with Washington, D.C. They canceled their meeting with the Trump administration. They said, why would we show up? The main Japanese trade negotiator said, I'm not going there, so that we could go there and then they could just lie about the deal. So canceled. Brett. Jordy.
This whole administration is a lie. This whole administration is based on fraud after fraud after fraud, which is the way that Donald Trump has lived his entire life, as a fraud. I mean, if you brought in $10 trillion, or what did you say, 11 trillion? I mean, just I'm even like using real names for numbers. Just say zillion, because bajillion. Like it's the same thing. Like the facts are is that the deficit is now higher than it's ever been. The deficit for 2025 is $1.63 trillion. That's up 7% from the same period last year. New data also shows that the deficit jumped 19% to $291 billion in July. So we would have had the biggest surplus ever if what Donald Trump was actually saying is happening. But this is how he conducts himself in all aspects of his life. This is how Donald Trump conducts himself in business. This is how Donald Trump conducts himself on the campaign trail. And this is how he conducts himself as a leader. And we see how he handles every single issue. It's the same scam every time, where he invents an issue. He then causes everybody gets, this faux outrage over said issue. He then does something drastic in order to say, I'm going to fix this problem. It's like what he's doing with the military right now, right? Saying crime, right? Then when people say, you know what, maybe I don't need the military walking and being in front of these restaurants that I want to eat at when I'm fine and I live here and crime's at its lowest levels in 50 years. Maybe I don't. Then the strategy is that the Republicans and Trump say, oh, so you like crime. So you like crime then? No, I just don't want a military occupation of my city. I don't want to give away my freedom to a dictatorship. How about that? Then they spike the football and they say, we did it, everybody, when they did not do shit. They lie about everything. It's the same playbook that they use for quite literally everything while they're stripping away essential services, while they are actually defunding the police, making our streets less safe, making us less safe as human beings by stripping away vaccine policy, by doing everything they possibly can to harm the average American, making us poorer, making us pay more. I mean, it's really just evil. And the fact that people believe this stuff is the most incredible part about it. Like, so many people out there who are willingly falling for these scams every single day. Sometimes I feel like I'm living in an alternate universe. I almost feel like after COVID, something happened and people just like lost their freaking minds. And now there's just no semblance of truth in the Trump world, in the MAGA world, in the Republican world. And they all get right behind Donald Trump, no matter what the heck he says.
Let's be real. COVID broke people's brains. Like, that era just broke people's brains in a really negative way. And I don't even mean that sarcastically. I know I say that to the brothers all the time. You look around and you're just like, wow, there's a lot of damaged folks out there. Part of the issue as well is quite frankly our media landscape, corporate media, just parroting what Donald Trump and chief propagandist Caroline Leavitt says. And they put up that headline, oh, $10 trillion to the U.S. And that's how people believe it. It just gets so ingrained in people's minds. And it's hard for corporate media, Brett, to do exactly what you did in 30 seconds there, which is dive into the facts and the data and don't just take what they say and plaster it on a headline. I've heard that number 10 before as well. Oh yeah, that's the other lie that Donald Trump continues to say now. It's not 7 wars he ended, it's 10 wars he's ended. Why? Because that's the headline grabbing title that corporate media is going to take and run with without doing any proper due diligence or fact checking. And that's why I'm glad that here at the MeidasTouch Network and the MeidasTouch Podcast, we dig into these facts with data and receipts, Ben.
Well, when he goes 10 wars, the 2 that he promised that he would stop, he said he would bring peace to Ukraine in 24 hours after the election, before he even took office. And now he says he was being sarcastic and that he obviously didn't really mean it. And he also said he would bring peace to Gaza. And obviously things are significantly worse there. So he goes with the outlandish lie of, I've stopped 7 wars. No, it's actually 10. I stopped a nuclear war between India and Pakistan. And if it wasn't for me, there would have been World War III. Give me a Nobel Peace Prize. And a lot of this is sculpted this way so that people don't ask, wait a minute, why are things getting far worse in Ukraine right now when you said you would stop it? Well, I stopped a nuclear war. You would have wanted nukes everywhere. I stopped that from happening. We'll talk about it in a little bit. Things are far worse in Ukraine. You have the European Union building being targeted by Russia. You have a United Kingdom government building being targeted by Russia in deadly attacks that ended up killing 20 other people in Ukraine, including 4 or 5 children yesterday. One of the worst nights of attacks as well. You also have Russian drones kind of swarming in this like East Germany area as well, kind of provoking or just showing that the U.S. isn't going to do anything about them. And then, of course, what was it, a week and a half ago, they hit the United States factory and the U.S. did nothing. We'll talk more about Ukraine in a moment. But yeah, that's why Trump says, I solved 7 or 10 wars. And it should be noted that when Trump tries to take credit for ending the war between India and Pakistan, that is one of the things that if you cared about diplomacy, you would know. Don't say that, because this is a major issue of pride in India, this war after the terrorist attacks in Kashmir, that Prime Minister Modi said that it was because of India's military that they negotiated the ceasefire on a bilateral basis, and the United States had nothing to do with it. The United States had nothing to do with it. The true story is J.D. Vance tried to call Prime Minister Modi because Pakistan back-channeled through J.D. Vance that they were going to have a massive strike against India. Modi didn't return J.D. Vance's phone call, but then sent a message to Vance saying, we don't care. If Pakistan does that, we're going to hit them harder. And then India negotiated with Pakistan on their own through mediation outside of the U.S. And then Trump's like, look, I did it, everybody. Look what I did. I did it. And the way Trump does it, too, also is very offensive to India. I dangled trade in front of them. I told them, we're not going to trade with you unless you do this, India. You like our American money, India, don't you? You want those American dollars, India, huh? And India's like, what are you talking about? We're one of the largest economies in the world right now. We're very proud of our economy. We have a productive trade relationship and interconnectivity between India. We did between India and the United States. And there's no trade deal with India. So what could you be possibly dangling? If anything, Trump has made things far worse by targeting India with 50% tariffs under the pretext that it's because they buy oil from Russia, while at the same time the United States lessens the sanctions against Russia and does not impose those same sanctions against China, who buys more oil from Russia than any. There's no rationale between what's taking place here. And Prime Minister Modi of India is not taking Donald Trump's phone calls anymore. I also saw a list of all of these post offices, the most recent one being Mexico, that are no longer sending packages to the United States because of tariff uncertainty. Everyone from the United Kingdom to Australia to Germany to Singapore, now Mexico, you name it, France. Their post offices are not sending mail packages to the United States right now. I just want you to think about that. I mean, it's like literally dozens and dozens of countries.
And by the way, this list that I'm showing right now isn't even all the countries. This is just like how many could fit on the screen at one time. And Mexico announced today that it's doing the same thing. And this part is all because Donald Trump decided to strip away the de minimis tariff exemption, which allowed basically items of a value of up to $800. Obama actually increased the value to $800 in 2016. It allowed those items to come into the United States tariff free. And so this has been, something that Americans rely upon. If you've ever used Amazon or Temu or bought anything on the internet ever, you're relying on these de minimis tariff exemptions. And what Donald Trump has done is he's rescinded that tariff exemption, which is now basically making it so that Americans are not going to be able to afford to buy any of these products. Suppliers are not going to be able to afford any of these products. And there's all this uncertainty now. These countries don't know what to do, if it's even worth shipping this stuff out here. So they've just stopped. Like the United States right now is quickly looking more like, I would say Russia, but it's looking like more like North Korea at this point, the way we're so isolated by Donald Trump.
And to that point, you have Donald Trump plastering his face on DC buildings. And I saw these headlines too. It was like, there was a New York Times headline. Donald Trump is, there it is. I wasn't sure if I said you that before the show. Trump takes Power Quest to new level. A Power Quest? What is this, Zelda? Like the Ocarina of Time? Is this The Hobbit? I mean, what this Lord of the Rings? Hey, everybody, I'm going on a Power Quest.
Sounds like a Peloton workout or something.
He's behaving like a dictator. And
30-minute Power Quest ride.
There was the other one that was called Dictator Chic. And they're saying Donald Trump tries to remake, from AFP. And I always thought they did some decent reporting, but their headline here is Trump stamps Dictator Chic on Washington. Brett, the example that I gave on our videos this morning, and I keep repeating it, is I feel like one of the last survivors sometimes in a zombie movie, that the zombie hasn't bitten me yet. And I look around and I see all these zombies and I'm like, I got to avoid the zombies. I got to avoid these zombies. And I just think about it. Like when I turn on CNBC, which I rarely do, and I'm expecting a financial network to talk about the things that we're talking about, and they don't even think it's problematic on this network that's supposed to go on to the intricacies and nuances of proxy fights and stock buyouts and CEO compensation and all of these things. And it's like Trump doesn't have a written deal anywhere with any country. And they're just like, well, actually, the Donald Trump deal with Japan calls, like, there's no deal. Why do you keep on saying this? Stop saying it's zombies. Go away, zombies. What are you talking about? What world are you living in? Like, there are all of these issues taking place. Everyone is, not everybody, but, corporate media normalizes this behavior. And I'm just like, stop it, stop it, stop it. I mean, there's this image by Matthew Gertz right here at Media Matters. This is the sort of image, if you predicted it would come to pass last October, people would have accused you of having Trump derangement syndrome. And for our audio listeners, it's the National Guard marching in D.C. in front of a government building with Donald Trump's face plastered over it, Handmaid's Tale style. And when we were saying these things, when we were screaming from the top of the rooftops, guys, fascism, he's saying the same things that Hitler's saying. He's saying the same things that Mussolini's saying. Stop it. This is serious. He's saying, we got to rid the vermin and get rid of the blood of our people. Like, he's saying all this stuff, guys. Listen to it. He's saying mass deportations. Everyone's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You crazy people, you. How dare you? I would get, those fact checkers I'd get those emails from whichever fact check group they would send you. They're like, we are preparing a story about MeidasTouch Network that you've said this and this. Please provide your proof and evidence of this, and that. And then they write like a bad story. And then it actually like kind of hurts you there because it makes you seem like some people believe these fact checkers are like legit people. And people be like, well, you were fact checked and they said that you're a far leftist organization. I'm like, I'm just calling out what it is. Brett, I know you have strong thoughts. Hold the thoughts. We have to take our first quick break of the show. A reminder, one of the ways we grow this network is through memberships on our YouTube page. So click the join button if you're not a member. You can gift as many memberships to people that you know. And there are some people who can't afford memberships. So you can gift it. YouTube disperses the memberships. It helps our network. It gives people access to some of the exclusive content we have here. Let's take our first quick break of the show. Then, Brett, it goes right to you and we're back. Let's take our first quick break.
Okay, you guys, I can't gatekeep this online editing tool we use in Meidas anymore, and I think it's going to change the way that you share videos online forever. If you haven't heard of Opus Clip, I'm about to blow your mind. So Opus Clip is an online video editor that allows you to easily upload video files, YouTube videos, you name it. It then takes that long video and automatically cuts it down to the best moments, formatted for your favorite social media apps. As a growing but nimble operation here at MeidasTouch, this has changed the way we're able to get out content so we can get it to as many people as possible, as quickly as possible. What used to take us hours now takes just minutes. With the auto import feature, we load our podcasts into Opus Clip. It then instantly auto edits them into social media ready clips. It reframes videos, making sure the viewer is seeing exactly what they're supposed to, like if somebody's speaking, if two people are speaking, or if we play a clip. We can customize the captions, add B-roll. Opus Clip even tells you what clips have the best chance of going viral. In this fast-paced information climate, we need to be able to get the truth out fast. And Opus Clip has been essential in helping us do that. Even if you don't make your own content, by spreading content that tells the truth and calls out all the BS, it does make a difference. For example, even if you have no editing experience, you can make your own social media ready clips from all your favorite MeidasTouch reports. So if you hear something that you want to share from this show or any of our episodes, use the link opus.pro/Meidas to get a full month off their pro plan on top of the 1-week trial everyone gets for signing up. Drop the YouTube link into Opus, and in a few minutes, you'll be able to share professional clips across your socials. That's opus.pro/Meidas, opus.pro/MEIDAS. Try it now. I'm looking forward to seeing what you all post.
If you're a homeowner, you need to listen to this. In today's AI and cyber world, scammers are stealing home titles and your equity is the target. Now here's how it works. Criminals forge your signature on one document. They use a fake notary stamp, pay a small fee with your county, and just like that, your home title has been transferred out of your name. Then they take out loans using your equity or even sell your property, and you won't even know what's happened. That is until you get a collection or foreclosure notice. So, when's the last time you checked your home title? If your answer is never, you need to do something about it right now. That's why I've partnered with Home Title Lock, so you can find out today if you're already a victim. Use my promo code Meidas at HomeTitleLock.com and you'll get a free title history report and a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts to any changes, and if fraud does happen, they'll spend up to $1 million to fix it. Find out why I trust Home Title Lock. Protect yourself like I did. Go to HomeTitleLock.com and use promo code Meidas. That's HomeTitleLock.com, promo code Meidas.
Welcome back.
Let's go. Shout out to our sponsors. Links in description of both the YouTube and the audio. Click the links, use the codes. If there's an exit survey, please let them know we sent you with that Opus, man. That is wild stuff right there. A+, check it out. I mean, the deal we worked out is awesome. So please give them a shout. Benji, where to next? I think actually, Brett.
I've got the conch. I passed the conch to Brett. Lord of the Flies. I've got the conch.
Wow.
Just
Impressive.
awful references today.
Speaking of impressive, Ben, by the way,
I'm glad you're going to say.
I have to bring it up because Ben just Ben just does the show and like doesn't even like mention it, like just no mention at all, just powers through it. But Ben today got 4 wisdom teeth pulled, and then immediately went and started recording videos right after. And so if you notice Ben talking a little different or looking a little different, he got 4 wisdom teeth pulled and then didn't skip a beat. I don't even know how it's humanly possible. Very impressive. I'm never going to take a sick day again, I guess. That's what
he went from. Next time you think you can take a sick day, Ben went from getting 4 wisdom teeth taken out to boom, live stream, back-to-back shows. Let's do it.
This is Michael Jordan flu game stuff we're witnessing here, folks. There's
respect.
I appreciate it, but I think it would actually hurt me more to avoid watching what's taking place and not speaking out on it. I think that would actually cause a more significant pain. But Brett, let me pass it over to you. before the break, you were going to say something.
Yeah, well, I totally agree with your analogy that we all live in a zombie movie. I think as I reflect on it, I think there were really two moments in American history from me growing up that really changed the course of our history and really sent this country into a spiral. I think the first, and like I said, this is for me, I'm 35. The first big thing for me was 9/11. 9/11 for me was a moment that I think changed the country's trajectory in a way that we've never recovered from. Everything that came from that, the surveillance state, everything that developed from that, the paranoia that we developed, the conspiracy theories that arose from that. I think you connect that to the next thing that I'm going to bring up that everybody knows I'm going to bring up right now, which is COVID. And 2020, COVID, everything that happened, the disinformation machine that was turned on then, the eschewing of experts who were just trying to help and weren't always right because it was a novel disease and there was information that was rapidly changing. And then these bad actors, Donald Trump and his minions, used that changing information in order to sow more disinformation and more distrust in efforts. It's really led us to where we are today. And honestly, I have to say, we have to be one of the most propagandized nations in the world right now, bar none. And a lot of it has to do with social media, with algorithms. A lot has to do with, obviously the Trump regime who's in office, with stations like Fox News, with a legacy media that is ill-equipped to fight back. And you just see, even after the most unimaginable tragedies out there, the propaganda that gets pumped out there to hide the real issues. I mean, of course, by now Ben's done, reports on this, and you all know about the horrific shooting in Minneapolis, just absolutely tragic, heart-wrenching at a Catholic school. And people want action when it comes to these things. And we've seen this going back, speaking about kind of those inflection point moments, going back to like Columbine and Sandy Hook and all of these moments that have just taken the country down this horrific path. And after every time, at least in the beginning, you think after this, we'll do something. Like these politicians will stop bullshitting us and they will do something. And they don't ever do anything. And the Republicans always try to make it about something else, or it's always too soon to talk about something. And so the new thing that we've seen in the past 24 hours is we had a lot of politicians yesterday and people like Jen Psaki and a lot of folks saying, I get your thoughts and prayers. That's great. We could do thoughts and prayers. This happened in a church, okay? Thoughts and prayers are not enough to stop shootings. We need to do stuff to root out the root causes of these shootings. We need to do something about guns and mental health and all of it, because all the things that you blame this on exist in every other country. They don't exist all these other things exist in every other country, but they're not having the same murders that occur in schools, the same mass shootings that occur in the United States. And then you see the propaganda machine go full force to shame anybody who says we want action, not just thoughts and prayers, including the Department of Homeland Security, who tweets things like this, who says pray without ceasing. Like that's their message. Pray. Nobody cares if you pray. I'm all for praying. I'm all for thoughts and prayers. I think it's a wonderful thing, but we want you to act. And you're the Department of Homeland Security. You're supposed to be the people who are monitoring threats like this. You're supposed to be the people who are able to stop threats like this. And you're making a mockery of it by posting things like pray without ceasing so that you could wipe yourself clean of the actual underlying issues as kids get killed in schools. This whole thing right now is just absolutely appalling. And we're just seeing it everywhere. And it's like the zombies out there who are just being Donald Trump's minions, the people who think that they're smart because they just listen to whatever Donald Trump says and they're getting likes on Twitter. Wake the hell up. There are kids dying. There are going to be people dying with this new CDC policy, which we'll talk about. This whole thing is crazy and it's dangerous and it's staring us right in the face. It's not even a good con. It's so obvious.
So well put, Brett. I want to build on that actually, and then I want to talk about the normalization of fascism that we're seeing at large here. But to the shooting point exactly, for the MAGAs out there who get outraged about people's pronouns and they go, well, how am I supposed to explain to my child that they want to go by he, him, or they? How do I explain that? How do you plan on explaining to your child that little Timmy was gunned down in math class and he can't come to your birthday party anymore? Like, I just don't get how you could actually think in those terms. So when you see these MAGA politicians, these Republican politicians specifically that have just allowed this, culture to metastasize because of their dying need to line themselves with NRA money. It's just beyond me that they care more about their own personal purse than the well-being of children. They're not the party of pro-life. Absolutely not. They're the party of pro-forced birth. They're not the party of pro-life because they don't give a damn about kids. It's August. There's already been a school shooting. It's still August. Like, it just gets me so worked up. Because
our schools didn't even open in August, like our back home in New York.
It's really just truly unbelievable because at the highest levels of government, like, politicians are failing children, adults are failing kids, and literally leading to their lives being lost because they'd rather pocket money. And then separately, the normalization of fascism that we've been seeing, Ben, building on what you were talking about, right? Like it's like a creep. I think I called it the fascist faucet. Yeah, the leaky fascist faucet. Just, look, we'll do a little military parade for dear leader's birthday here, a little gerrymandering over there. Hey, let me just deploy the National Guard to these blue states over here. I'm just going to fire these people in the government that I don't necessarily agree with right there. And then what does corporate media do? Dictator chic. This is so cute. This is crazy. What we're witnessing right now is absolutely crazy, and everybody needs to be shouting it from the mountaintops that none of this is normal. And the second you allow yourself to bit by bit normalize this behavior, you've lost the plot. You have lost the plot.
It goes even far beyond just the NRA's money. It's the NRA's in complete disarray also. They run things the way Trump runs things, and they've gotten busted doing a lot of things. But it almost seems that the outcome that Republicans want, or this MAGA movement, which is now the Republicans, is whatever like the worst possible outcome could possibly be. More disease, more death, more murders, horrible economy. And let's literally pick the worst people for each possible position at every level. And if you are qualified at all and you speak up and try to present facts, you're gone right away in this regime. That's also not unique to the Trump regime. That's a quality of fascism and authoritarianism, that they purge the competent people, or in other countries at other times kill the competent people first. But you take a look at who was the person, Brett, you mentioned the Department of Homeland Security.
Yeah.
We obviously know that Kristi Noem is the head of the Department of Homeland Security, and she's got, a structure underneath it. But who's the person that's responsible for monitoring domestic terrorism and trying to stop it with all of the assets that exist in our federal government before these attacks take place? It's this guy. He's 22 years old, Thomas Fugate. He was an intern for Donald Trump. This guy is 22 years old, former intern. I think that before he was an intern, he was like a summer gardener. But come on, if you don't want the outcome to be killing people or harming people, like why would you choose this guy to run the department unless you actually want negative consequences? And if you're that guy, how could you, unless you're just the most deranged human being, take that job? Like if someone were to say to me, hey, Ben, we'd love for you to be a pilot. You don't have to go to pilot school. I want you to fly the airplane, and we're going to pay you hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and you're going to get great benefits, but we need you to fly the plane. We'll give you a PowerPoint. Just watch the PowerPoint. And then I would be, no, what are you talking about? Similarly, if you did that for me as a doctor, if you did that for me as one of these government positions that I know nothing about, if you were to say, hey, Ben, we want you to run the Federal Reserve, I go, okay, I mean, I may have taken macroeconomics in undergrad, but that doesn't qualify me to be on the Federal Reserve Board of Governors. But this 22-year-old kid takes the job. They gut 75 to 80% of their staff. We know that our federal resources are now being spent either finding Donald Trump's name on the Epstein files to redact and remove it, or rounding up migrants and citizens to throw them into concentration camps. That's where, and people who are like hardworking people, not the criminals. We all want the criminals to be arrested and go away, provided they're given process that's allowed in the United States of America. But they're so focused on Home Depot and all these things. At what point are we able to say, and I think it's now, I think it was weeks ago and months ago, that these actions have consequences? This shooter was posting on many a message board in the most obvious and brazen ways. And in the past, the FBI would have picked something like that up. But the FBI's been gutted. The Homeland Security Department that deals with domestic terrorist threats have been gutted because they don't like that people call the January 6th insurrectionists domestic terrorists. Instead, what are they doing today? They're giving the insurrectionist who was shot and killed when she was going into that room with where the senators were, and she was in the Air Force. Not only did they settle with her, but they're giving her like a honorable funeral with the Air Force, honorary, all the tapestries that are surrounding that. That's why they gut the domestic terrorism. And then this thing falls through the cracks. I mean, what we shouldn't continue to talk about the fact that like hundreds of children got killed in Texas from the Guadalupe River flash floods when it would have taken them 4 minutes to get on top of the mountain had they gotten the right alerts. Maybe if Urban Search and Rescue, which was ready to go, but Kristi Noem didn't approve them, was ready to actually search. Maybe if call centers weren't shut down because Kristi Noem didn't want to pay those bills. We don't talk about that. And then you go to the issues, Brett, you mentioned it. Even right now, one thing, FEMA, 180 FEMA staff, open letter saying, we're screwed. Our leadership doesn't know what they're doing. We're screwed right now. What does the Trump regime do? Put all these people who wrote their name on the open letter on administrative leave. These people are saying, we're going to have an event far worse than Katrina because no one at FEMA knows what they're doing at a leadership level. Help. They get put on administrative leave. Then you go to the CDC. The CDC's headquarters is on the Emory campus in Atlanta. It was the subject of a terrorist attack, a domestic terrorist attack. Again, another domestic terrorist attack by an anti-vaxxer who espouses all these MAGA views. Shot hundreds of times at the CDC building. Donald Trump doesn't mention it once. Not once that there was a domestic terrorist attack at the CDC building. So that obviously harmed morale at the CDC, number one. And then you have RFK Jr. saying that, you know what? We are no longer going to have the same emergency use authorization regarding COVID. RFK Jr. announces new limits on who can get COVID vaccines. Even as new variants are surging, patients must now see a doctor before getting vaccinated instead of booking directly at a pharmacy. The emergency use authorization for COVID vaccines are now rescinded. This follows him disbanding the Vaccine Advisory Board, which he promised multiple Republican senators who said that they wouldn't vote for him unless he promised that he would not destroy this Vaccine Advisory Board. It's one of the first things he did. And so the head of the CDC was outspoken and saying, that's the wrong thing to do. I can't support this. They said, resign if you can't support this. He said, I'm not resigning. You're fired. You can't fire me. Yes, I can. You are fired. Head of the CDC. You speak positively about vaccines. You're fired. Well, now she hires lawyers. She's getting ready to file lawsuits the same way Lisa Cook, who was fired as a governor unlawfully from the Federal Reserve, hired a lawyer, filed an emergency lawsuit today. And going back to the CDC, you now have mass resignations, a mass walkout taking place. We're talking just about diseases. In what world has all of a sudden, except in this zombified, apocalyptic MAGA world, are they pro-disease? That RFK Jr., I saw someone describe him as, he looks like a 100-year-old baseball glove. That's what his face looks like. Not to mention how he sounds. I won't even get into that. But he's the guy with no clinical experience. Remember during his testimony a few months back, he goes, do not trust me on medical things. You should not trust me on medical. Okay, well, perhaps you were being honest, but why shouldn't we? You're the head of the Health and Human Services Department. Normally, that would be person we can trust. But now we not only can we not trust you, but all of this wacky stuff, this quackery, is now becoming what is dogma. They create fake reports that justify this stuff, and people die because of this stuff, Brett and Jordy.
And now RFK Jr.'s top deputy is going to be the acting CDC director, somebody who's anti-vax, somebody who refused to really answer any questions during his appointment at HHS. And we're just seeing now, like, the CDC used to be like a beacon of light for the entire world. It used to be what the entire world looked to for advice on medical issues. And now it's just a freaking joke. I mean, I never thought that there would be a day. I mean, I didn't think of the CDC as an agency that is a Democratic agency or a Republican agency or an independent. Like, it's just an agency. It's people, hard workers doing their work, going by the data, going by the science. And yes, sometimes science evolves, sometimes data evolves. That's the nature of science. It's a constant process of learning. That doesn't necessarily mean they were lying to you during COVID when they said one thing about masks and then learned other things about masks. I mean, it means they learned new information. But Trump, this MAGA world, these propagandists have spread so many lies about this agency, and now they are gutting it. And now they are spreading truly harmful information. They're taking away vaccines. So if you're under 65, you're not able to access vaccines unless you fit into a narrow kind of list of ailments that makes you eligible for the vaccine. You got to see your doctor. You know, we do the show here at the MeidasTouch Network called Meidas Health with Dr. Vin Gupta, where he brings on experts. He brings on former heads of the CDC and the FDA and other organizations in the country who to kind of fight back as like a shadow agency against the lies of the Trump regime. We have that here on this MeidasTouch podcast feed. It's an audio podcast. You can check it out, by subscribing to the MeidasTouch podcast on Apple and Spotify. We also put it on our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You should check it out because you'll hear from real experts about what is actually going on. And, we started the show off with Susan Collins saying she's concerned, Senator Bill Cassidy, Republican, he was one of those guys who RFK said, I'm not going to touch anything. I'm not going to. And he's like, oh, I think we just try it out. He promised me. So you know what? I don't think anything's going to happen here. Well, where are you now? Okay. Because right now everything's being gutted. You already see RFK Jr. He's going out there. He's saying like, oh yeah, in September, I'm going to deliver my report on how vaccines cause autism. I got the idea. He's going to spread more harmful information that is going to get people hurt because we have a guy who's basically straight out of a Facebook comment section now in charge of our health system. It's absolutely crazy.
It is one of the scariest things. I mean, there's a lot of things to be scared of. The Trump regime and MAGA in general, the attack on experts, real experts that have the education, that have the knowledge, that actually do the work to just get to the data, right? Data shouldn't be a red or blue thing. Data is just a fact. Hey, here are our conclusions. Here's what we learned from the evidence. That's how you figure things out. But for Donald Trump and the Trump regime and MAGA, they don't want to live in reality. No, they want to live in this MAGA-verse where if you don't agree 100% with what Donald Trump says, and he has the ability to do so, he will fire you, literally replace you and put you in with a stooge who's going to then do exactly what Donald Trump wants. And you know who suffers? The American people. The American people at large, because we're no longer getting the actual facts. But yet, what do they then do? They try and distract you. Oh, Cracker Barrel, they just changed their logo. Y'all get outraged about that. Don't look at your 401ks. Don't look at your wallets when you go to the supermarket about inflation. Don't care about that. Because what they're trying to do is constantly distract you with this nonsense as they continue to put in these MAGA stooges. And that's the scariest part because it has real world impacts on people's families, on people's lives. And it's going to continue just to get freaking worse unless, you call it out, because that's the best thing you could do in this moment, because where corporate media is failing is they're not accurately calling it out. So every step of the way, you have to scream it from the rooftops, Ben.
Let's take our last quick break of the show. A reminder, if you can become a member of our YouTube channel, that is hugely helpful for our growth. You may have heard about our expansion into Canada. which is just the beginning. We want to reach out to pro-democracy groups and leaders across the world, in Australia, in the UK, throughout Europe, throughout Africa, throughout Central and South America, and Mexico, and Asia. And we want to build MeidasTouch networks there so we can fight back against the international fascism movement. I bring that up now because you've been a major part of our growth. And one of the best ways to help us grow is by becoming a member on this YouTube channel. Click join and you can gift memberships to others. It unlocks emojis. It unlocks an exclusive podcast I do with Ron Filipkowski and more. So thank you to everybody who joined there. Also, check out MeidasPlus.com, MeidasPlus.com. That's our Substack, which is growing rapidly as well. We got over 60 to 70 million views there a month right now on that Substack. So that Substack's becoming a force as well. And that's right up there with some of the big other kind of news outlets. And we just started Substack in September. And of course, here on YouTube, we continue to beat Fox and all cable news, thanks to you. Last quick break of the show. Home stretch. We've got a lot to discuss. I want to talk about what's happening in Ukraine. I want to talk about Governor Newsom's press conference earlier today. We'll talk a little bit more about Meidas Canada and some other topics. Last quick break of the show. We'll be right back.
You know that moment of truth when everybody sits down at the table and you brace yourself while they cut into their meat? Will the chicken be too raw? Did I just ruin $100 worth of steaks? How bad does salmonella get? Yeah, that's all changed with Chef IQ Sense. It's the wireless cooking thermometer that turns you into a master chef. It works for all types of cooking, grilling, pan-searing, roasting, everything. It's so easy. You just insert the sensor into your steak, chicken, fish, whatever you're cooking. Open the Chef IQ app. Choose how you want it cooked. Rare, medium, well done, any preference. With multiple probes, everyone gets exactly what they want. Then you can sit back and relax. It sends real-time updates. It tells you when to flip, take it off, even how long to let it rest. Seriously, it's like having a culinary coach in your pocket. No more guessing, no more lid lifting, no more dinner disasters. Chef IQ Sense is precision cooking for everyone. Trust me, you'll wonder how you cooked without it. And right now, you can get 20% off site-wide with code Meidas at chefiq.com. That's chefiq.com, promo code Meidas.
It's time for some life talk, life insurance talk, that is. You probably have it, but do you know how much you're actually paying for it? And for how much are you being covered? Odds are you pay too much for too little. And did you know that even if you receive life insurance through your job and you're unexpectedly laid off, you could suddenly be covered for nothing? Scary to think about it, but simple to get right thanks to Select Quote, where I'm headed to sort out my life insurance policy today. For over 40 years, Select Quote has been one of the most trusted brokers in insurance, helping more than 2 million Americans secure over $700 billion in coverage. Their mission is simple: to find you the right insurance policy for your unique needs. They shop, you save. Unlike other one-size-fits-all life insurance companies, Select Quote's licensed agents work for you. In as little as 15 minutes, they'll compare policies from top-rated carriers to find you the best fit for your health and your budget, and they work for you for free. No medical exam, no problem. They partner with providers offering same-day coverage up to $2 million without needing to visit your doctor. Have high blood pressure, diabetes, or heart disease? Select Quote has partners with policies designed for many pre-existing health conditions, so you get the protection you deserve. So head to selectquote.com and a licensed insurance agent will call you right away with the right policy for your life and your budget. Life insurance is never cheaper than it is today. Select Quote, they shop, you save. Now get the right life insurance for you for less and save more than 50% at selectquote.com/Meidas. Save more than 50% on term life insurance at selectquote.com/Meidas today to get started. That's selectquote.com/Meidas.
Let's go. Shout out to our sponsors. Links in description of both the YouTube and the audio. Use the links, use the codes. If there's an exit survey, let them know we sent you. Benji, I'm still just so impressed that you are doing the show today. two and a half hours removed from getting all 4 wisdom teeth taken out. And I got, not to be like the little brother here, but like, so my son just started daycare, and he definitely brought home like he's got like the sniffles now, just that's what happens when you bring kids to daycare. I got this. I'm not feeling great right now, but you're motivating me, Ben, to just power through this episode. So my sniffles, that's equal to your 4 wisdom teeth being taken out. Yeah. Benji, where to next?
Thank you for the praise. Let's talk about, you know what that reminds me of?
What?
Brett, you know what I'm talking about. This is what we need more of this at the MeidasTouch.
Yeah, we like it. What are you getting into here?
Jordy, were you inspired by this? Let's play it, Brett. You know what I'm talking about. I don't have to call it.
What am I playing?
Brett, just play it.
Brett, the cabinet meeting where they all praised Donald Trump.
Got it.
And we were so careful.
You can't sneak attack me.
If you all haven't stopped by the Department of Labor, Mr. President, I invite you to see your big, beautiful face on a banner in front of the Department of Labor, because you are really the transformational president of the American worker, along with the American flag and President Roosevelt.
Working for this government, for you, is the greatest honor of my life. I tell it to everybody, and I really do feel that way, and I thank you.
You have breathed life back into the profession of law enforcement. Your respect for law enforcement is so incredible. It's making a difference.
This is just such a great opportunity, really, to recognize your leadership as a true champion for working people. Well, everyone knows there's no stronger advocate for hardworking American families than you.
Well, Mr. President, first of all, thank you for the opportunity to work for you.
Our country has never been so secure thanks to you. You have brought us back from the edge.
And there's only one thing I wish for, that Noble Committee finally gets its act together and realizes that you are the single finest candidate since the this Nobel Award was ever talked about to receive that reward.
It's pretty great to celebrate Labor Day with a builder who loves labor. The great Trump projects have come from the very men and women we're going into this weekend to celebrate.
Thank you for saving college football, by the way. We're all very grateful.
Yeah, that was put together by Brett and our team here at the MeidasTouch Network. Brett.
It was actually the first time I was able to get through that whole video, just because I get such like secondhand embarrassment watching that. And that's the thing that we're never going to be able to really overcome no matter what happens next. Is like we're always going to have to live with whatever the heck that was that happened here in the United States of America. You know, I think I said this on Blue Sky or so like what in the Krispy Kreme glazed donut is that? It's just so pathetic.
And it's ultimately just so not American. Like it's just so not what our country was. Like we used to mock that. Like when we would see Saddam Hussein do stuff like that, or Kim Jong-un or whoever, we'd be like, look at that. And then people would look to us as this like democracy that was working on good faith. And it's like, wait a minute, we're worse than those countries now. Like that's far more embarrassing than all of that. But Brett and Jordy, you've got Governor Newsom fighting back. He held a press conference today, and his team has been really, on social media, they've been firing back, going on the offense, mocking Donald Trump. Here they are talking about, though, at this press conference, how these MAGA states have far more crime than Democratic states, like Alabama. It's the top 3. Let's play this one.
But facts are stubborn things. And the fact is, Mississippi. I mentioned Arkansas. How about Tennessee? Alabama. Alabama's top 3 murder states in America. Where's the President of the United States? I thought he cared. These are the folks these are his states that voted for him. His state of mind doesn't seem to be focused on the issue of crime and violence. It's about an expression of authoritarianism. He reflects and waxes, I think, 2 out of the last 3 days, talking about being a dictator. I hope people pay attention.
I hope people pay attention. And one of the ways he's making people pay attention, how this cannot be normalized, is by highlighting some of the blatant hypocrisy by putting a mirror up to the lunacy. And that's exactly what Newsom says. Here, play this clip.
But also acknowledge that this country needs to wake up to what's going on, and not just the authoritarian tendencies, but the authoritarian actions by this president. This cannot be normalized. And yes, so I'm highlighting some just blatant hypocrisy. Yes, we're putting a mirror up to the lunacy that is Trump's tweets and his grift. The madness that is someone that would dress up as the Pope and tweet that out, or put his face up there on Mount Rushmore in a Superman costume. President of the United States. So I do think it's important to put that mirror, that lens back, and have everyone reflect on it and say, well, have we accepted this as normal? Why aren't we calling this out more clearly? So extension of what we're doing, but also, yes, highlighting some of that.
Thank you. That's what I've been looking for so long. That answer right there. And it's not beneath us or a politician to highlight these things that are being said. I mean, that's why I go through Donald Trump's messages that he sends his supporters on a daily basis, like this one from this morning. Do you want a Doge check? Tell me here. Rebate check poll. I only need you to answer one question, and it's a very important one. I'm only sending this poll to my most trusted Trump 1%. I'm even providing you with a 2-hour extension to answer. Question. Should bonus revenue from tariffs go back to the American people via check signed by Trump, in addition to it just being like, not like in like broken English?
Like wire fraud?
Yeah. The subject line of do you want a Doge check doesn't even match what it, like they got their frauds confused. They mixed up the Doge check and the tariff rebate fraud and kind of merged them into one. Like you're still talking about a Doge dividend check. Like, okay, that was a fraud. Doge costs the government more money. Government spending is much higher right now. Objectively, that's the data than it was under former President Biden. And Brett, as you mentioned, the debt is soaring and our deficit is increasing significantly than what it was last year.
By the way,
So
did you
there's
see
that.
when like Bessent, it was either Bessent or Lutnick was asked about the tax rebate checks or the Doge, one of the checks, that they keep throwing out. This is what they do. They scam their people, right? They get these emails. Ooh, I'm going to get a check. Yes, I want money. Give me money, Donald Trump. He says he's going to make me very, very rich. Give me money. Either Bessent or Lutnick was asked about this, and they were like, oh yeah, they'll get the checks after once we pay down the debt. so you might as well say, yeah, never. You're never going to see a penny, okay?
But one of the things that they seem to be doing is either intentionally or recklessly, you tell me which is worse, destroying the economy to then justify lowering the interest rates, right? Like if you look at the moves they're making, it is affirmatively harming the economy. And then it was the speech that Chairman Powell of the Federal Reserve gave last week. And he gave a speech where he's like, basically, I'm paraphrasing, the economy's doing terrible. We're heading towards stagflation, meaning GDP is decreasing, unemployment is rising, and inflation is rising. This is more than what we previously expected. So we may have to look differently at interest rates. The stock market surged on that like that was a good announcement. And I'm sitting here going, what the hell are we doing? What do you mean? You think that's good news because we've broken the economy to lower interest rates? But who does that benefit? The 1%, the billionaires. They can borrow freely and do whatever they want and recklessly. One of the things they loved about the PPP program is that their connections to the banks gave them billions of dollars collectively that they got their debt forgiven afterwards. They just got free money if we want to talk about it. So they got free money from the government. The richest people in the world were getting free money from the government. Then they got their debt forgiven. Meanwhile, right now, one of the very, very scary stats is there are 6 million student loan borrowers who are about to be in default or who are in default. What that means is their credit is tarnished. What that means is they can't rent under their name. They can't get cars under their name. They can't get future homes under their name until maybe the credit gets fixed in 7 years. But there's no help of them getting their credit fixed in 7 years based on how bad things are going now. So for the next 7 to 10 years, you're removing millions of Americans out of the economy because they can't unless there's a cosigner or someone like that. Credit card debt right now, verge of defaults right there. Mortgage applications, highest rejection rates, unemployment, very like all of this data is just really concerning right now. We'll hit on some of the news internationally that I said we would as well. which is the strikes by Russia against Ukraine. Basically, over the past 48 hours, have increased, really, at a level never seen before during this war. But since Trump's taken office, the strikes have increased substantially, especially on civilian areas, residential areas, like occurred last night. And, what was struck? Go back to that last graphic right there. European Union mission was hit. The British Council building was hit. Official government buildings were intentionally targeted by Russia. And this followed an American factory being targeted in Russia and destroyed last week, the Flex factory. And Donald Trump does nothing about it. Donald Trump said if Russia didn't agree to a ceasefire, there would be serious sanctions. Well, there's no sanctions. There's no ceasefire. Russia has not agreed to a bilateral or trilateral meeting. There's no security guarantees. Remember all that stuff that they were saying last week and the week before? Look what Trump did. Again, just like his fake trade deals, we were saying it at the outset. Wrong. This is not what Russia never agreed to these things. That's all. Stop reporting that these are actual things. Donald Trump's leadership has got Russia to agree to NATO-like security guarantees. First off, what the hell is a NATO-like security guarantee? I guess from Donald Trump's view, that means no security guarantee, because Trump has said before that he really wouldn't honor Article 5. And if anything, Trump's triggering Article 5 by engaging in espionage against Greenland. Denmark had to summon our top diplomat in the area saying, are you sending spies in Greenland? That's an act of war. What the hell are you doing? And it is an attempt to invade the sovereignty of Greenland. The Trump regime was caught doing that. You have the president of pull it up right here, Brett. What country am I thinking of right now? Portugal. They started with the P. President of Portugal right now saying the top leader of the world's foremost superpower is objectively a Soviet or Russian asset. He operates as an asset. Think about that. That's what he's saying right now. But I want to show you, okay, Ben, what's the solution to this? Well, what we're going to try to do here at the MeidasTouch Network is build out the network in other countries, because we know that there is a hunger and a thirst for truth and facts and speaking plainly, evidence-based, that transcends political parties. It's about the facts. Like when I was a trial lawyer, I didn't go, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I am a Democrat, and let me present to you the Democratic view right here, and I want you to find in favor of my client. When I was marching the streets of Bakersfield with my clients, I didn't say, are you a Democrat or are you a Republican? When my clients had family members killed by the Bakersfield Police Department or the Kern County Sheriff's Department, they just wanted answers. That's why they hired me. And so I've tried to bring that fact-based evidence approach and say, here are the facts. There's no trade deal. There's no trade deals at all. There's no written agreements. Now, you may like that or don't like that. I don't know, but let's agree to the objective fact there. Donald Trump's not being tough with Putin. Trump is acting like an asset, either knowingly or unknowingly, of Putin. Why do I say that? Because there's no ceasefire. Trump invited Putin to Alaska and celebrated the guy. Putin got the biggest propaganda opportunity ever. Trump was in the Oval Office holding a photo of himself and Vladimir Putin together. Look at us together. Look how lovely we look. Like it's the honeymoon phase of a relationship that they were having together. It's really weird stuff. And no security guarantees. Trump constantly berates our NATO allies. He attacks Ukraine. There was that Guardian report that Donald Trump was basically trying to do a coup of Zelensky back in February or March after that meeting in the White House, but that the main general who Trump wanted to replace Zelensky didn't take Trump's phone calls or Vance's phone calls. Sound like a familiar theme in this episode? But here's Charlie Angus speaking at an international summit. Here he was speaking in Mexico, but at this meeting, there were leaders from across the world, Mexico, Central America, South America, Caribbean, and they were there. And Charlie Angus, a former member of parliament in Canada, was talking about starting Meidas Canada and the importance of creating international pro-democracy media. This was a major topic of this summit of world leaders together in Mexico. Here, watch this.
And we were so careful in our language that nobody could understand what we were saying. And the right came in and they lied again and again with simple language. And we didn't take it seriously. That's what happened in the United States. That's what happened in Canada. The other failure is our mainstream media. You know, we still have in Canada a sense of fairness in media, but what they cannot address fascism. Because in the world of fascism, all their talking heads sound like they've seen it all, they've heard it all, and so they'll present what Trump says and say, well, you know, he's just being Trump. In Canada, it's like, well, he's not really serious. Like the day that Trump threatened our country, suddenly a separatist group appeared in Western Canada. A separatist group made up of fringe losers. And the media, to be fair, gives them multiple opportunities. And does anyone think that Trump is not going to try and break our country apart by creating a Donbass in the West by feeding this? I'm not attacking the media here. I'm saying we need to create alternative media. We need to start creating a progressive media that people listen to. I'll give you an example, the MeidasTouch from Los Angeles. Wherever I go in Canada, working class people listen to MeidasTouch because they talk about what's happening in a practical way. They don't talk highfalutin. They don't say he said, she said. They give facts. We need on the left to create an alternate stream because we gave online disinformation to the right. We let them dominate it with their podcasters and their influencers. And it's seeped into every part of our social fabric to the point of crazy conspiracy. We need to find ways of talking practically and bringing our people straightforward talk through our means that we can control. Thank you.
Love that. That's great. Yeah, I mean, we need these messages out all across the world. I'm super excited to be launching Meidas Canada with Charlie and to bring this platform that we built into countries all over the entire world. And we're going to need your help with this. So get ready. You know, if you're in Canada, if you're in Australia, if you're in Europe, start building the buzz about this. I know the buzz is going on in Canada right now, and I just, I'm so honored to have this platform where we can reach people and can speak about these topics, because what we see right now in our country, in the United States, is a guy who thrives on chaos. And he just wants to divide, and he wants to use that chaos in order to continue to sow division and then consolidate power. And so, Ben, you asked something like, I don't know if they're doing this on purpose or what. Like, I think Donald Trump, I think the chaos is the point. I think Donald Trump is doing everything he's doing on purpose. I think he likes when there's chaos. When there's chaos in the streets, he doesn't even necessarily need it, as we've seen. But when there's chaos in the streets, when there's pandemonium in different departments, people look for somebody to help them. They get desperate. And then they go, okay, well, I'll send in the military to help you, right? Well, if only I had more power, I'd be able to do X, Y, and Z. Oh, that problem that you see, that shooting, that this, that storm, that's because of the Democrats. That logo that changed, that you were nostalgic over, that people are now upset about. Oh, that's because of those wokesters. I'm going to stop that. And you see all of these things used as propaganda mechanisms to hide what's actually going on, as you see Donald Trump continue to consolidate power, despite the fact that his approval continues to decline. And we see these kind of tactics work all over the world. It's what Russia does. It's what North Korea does. And we're even seeing this right now. We're speaking about what's happening in Ukraine. I want to talk about what's happening in Gaza as well right now. Over the past few days, we've seen Israel start to conduct a full-on assault of Gaza City. We've seen in the past 24 hours alone, at least 61 people killed in Israeli attacks today alone, probably more by the time since we've been live on this show, hundreds in the past few days. Honestly, you don't even see it that much like in our media here, but international media is reporting on this. There was that horrific video of that hospital being bombed, 5 journalists killed, 20 people in total from the hospital. They're bombing hospitals. There have been 62,966 people killed by the Israeli government since this started, 159,266 wounded. It's like the population of Salem, Oregon, injured in this, whatever you want to call it. War is not really the term. I mean, it's like a genocidal thing that's happening right now in Gaza at the hands of Netanyahu. And it's hard for me to even fathom this as like a Jewish person to see what's going on. And I think it's important that people speak out on this and not be afraid to speak out on this, right? I mean, I think a lot of people get shamed into thinking that they can't. And you see all the same propaganda here right now, propping up these same heinous actions that's happening right now in Gaza. I saw this Twitter ad that came across my feed the other day, and it was from the Israeli government, and it was an ad that was like, the cuisine in Gaza is amazing. Nobody's hungry here. Everybody's doing great. Everybody loves their food. Look at all these people eating. Look at all these fresh veggies. Look, it's a farmer's market. It's appalling when you know how many people are starving every day. It's appalling when you know that there's actually a famine there. It's appalling when you see the helicopters, the planes flying over, and you see the area completely leveled. You see it completely decimated, just absolutely wiped out by this constant assault. And I'm supposed to be okay with that? It's just, it's insane. And the level of propaganda that could get people to say, oh, but don't believe the numbers. Don't believe the numbers. That's not the accurate number. You can get propaganda to make people believe anything and hide the most insane atrocities imaginable. And that's what we're seeing there. We're seeing that with our government in the United States. You see that in Russia. You see that in North Korea. You see that with what Russia's doing to Ukraine. It's all bad. And we should be speaking about all of it. And we should not fall victim to the propaganda. That's all I want to say.
Jordy, take us out. Before doing so, sorry if my voice and my puffy face was in any way a distraction today. I tried to power through it. I think we powered through it all right.
I'm still impressed by you.
You did great.
Our fans in Portugal may be a little upset that I forgot the name of Portugal. So I'm going to give myself a deduction.
You get a pass. You get a pass today, B. Don't worry.
Well, thank you, everybody, for watching. We're grateful for you. Remember to become a member of our YouTube channel if you can. Hit the join button. You can gift memberships to as many people as you want as well. People may not be able to afford membership. So if you can afford it, that could be hugely helpful. Also, check out MeidasPlus.com, MeidasPlus.com. That's our Substack. Subscribe there as well. Subscribe to the audio of our podcast and leave 5-star reviews. That helps us a ton. If you're listening on audio, once this ends, go and do a 5-star review right now, and then go and subscribe to the YouTube channel. YouTube watchers, go subscribe on audio and give us a 5-star review there as well. We appreciate you. We'll always be shoulder to shoulder with you, fighting for you. Thank you all so much. Jordy, take it away.
Shout out to the Midas Mighty. Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.